Hey everybody, how's it going? Today, we are painting Fjord from Critical Role, Eldritch Blast. Get it. If you don't like Critical Role, you should check it out because it's super awesome. It's a D&D podcast, and I'm a nerd. So, now you know. So, the first thing I'm going to do is grab my sketch brush and start sketching out the face, which I used a ton of reference for. There's a super awesome reference website run by Noah Bradley and his wife called reference.pictures. They have fantastic high-res reference photos. Nobody's paying me to say this. They're awesome and they're cheap. Go get them and check them out. They're going to help you immensely. I used a picture from the expression pack for this. I wasn't going for any sort of likeness. I just wanted to get that face, that angry face. It's hard to draw expressions, and this is no exception. So you need to make sure you use that reference. Number one rule. Alright, so I think the most important thing to take away from this is value and color, right? Like when you're painting something, I think the most important thing to do is to get all your local color down at once, because it's really difficult to assess those values and the color without that. Like if you have a white background or something, like it's really hard to tell what's going on. You need the background color so that way you can decide. Like right now I have like a blue-green, right? And if I want to paint something that's, say, red, I'm not going to go grab red from my my like hue cube or like my color picker, right? I'm gonna take that green color and desaturate it, because a desaturated green is going to look red and it's going to look more natural. So when you have all these colors down, you can experiment with stuff like that, right? If I didn't have that background down and I was like, oh, I want red in his mouth, well, I'd start with like a red color. But instead, that red, especially around his teeth, is not actually red. It's still green, but it looks very red because it's surrounded by a more vibrant and saturated green. Once you learn this, it's going to drastically improve your art. I remember when I kind of first figured this out, I did a bunch of master studies of Bierstadt. He's one of the Hudson River painters. I just did a bunch of master studies, and I took his paintings and I took a color picker and I just went around picking all the different colors, right? There was one that was like a sunset painting. I'm like, oh, the sky looks bright blue. Turns out the sky is just desaturated orange and the entire painting is orange. And that blew my mind. So go try doing that. Just grab a master's painting, bring it into Photoshop and drag your color picker around and see what happens. If you can get a handle on that, the fact that like the more gray your colors are, the more they're gonna blend together and be friends, like it's gonna push your paintings to another level for sure. The other thing is values too. Like you don't want your values to be too separated. Like if you look at the teeth are a pretty dark color actually, and the only reason they look good is because I spared my highlights and my high values for the very end. If I had kept those, if I had made those teeth what I think they should look like, which is white, they would look terrible because you wouldn't be able to see any highlights in them. And then like they get the nice highlights in the mouth because of the same thing, like a narrow value range. And values, when I'm talking about values, I'm just talking about light and dark. And then that's like kind of the base. And then once you get the light and dark right, then you can adjust the hue and the saturation and all that stuff. But you have to have the values right. You can really have any colors you wanted, technically. If your values are correct, it's still going to look like the right form. Like the form is going to read if your black and white values are correct. One thing you can do is put on the very top of your layer stack a layer, just fill it with black, set it to color, set the blending mode to color, and then you will have an accurate representation of values. You can toggle that on and off as you paint. I do that a lot. The other option is to start a painting in black and white and transition into color, but I think that's harder, and I also think your colors don't turn out looking as natural. So hope I try to cram as much thought process into this as I can. If you're interested in more intricate stuff, check out my website, and this will probably be up there, and it's definitely on my Patreon. So thanks for watching.